Greetings to you all. It is my task today to present to you my group members, and they are Olinka Adams Peters, Donna Jack, Lorraine Payne, and Alicia Jones. It is our task today to present to you a definition for literacy in the Guyanese context to identify similarities and differences between the national curriculum structure and the wider theoretical understanding, to identify and justify types of literacy within the curriculum, to explain advantages and disadvantages of the literacy curriculum structure, and to give a critical view of the literacy curriculum structure in Guyana. Thank you.
Literacy has lots of different definitions, but the goal of across the curriculum is to prepare students with the ability to read, write, speak, and listen in a way that lets them communicate effectively and make sense of the world. In Guyana, functional literacy is interpreted as the ability of an individual to apply skills in reading, writing, calculation, and basic problem solving in those activities. However, there are similarities and differences between the national curriculum structure and the wider theoretical understanding of literacy. Some of the similarities include: during the day, the children are asked questions about topic of interest. They would have previous knowledge of the topic. They would be able to listen to songs in the environment and engage in active conversation with peers. According to Piaget, we understand the world around us by using schema. A schema is a pattern of linking perceptions, ideas, and actions to make sense of the world. Pupils interact with texts in whole groups or small groups. Reading is developed by shared reading with peers. Shared reading enables all children, regardless of their reading levels, to have enjoyable literacy opportunities every day. And that's according to Irene C. Fontes and Gay Supinel. Writing independently on topics of interest. According to cognitive process theory of learning, the composition process is a series of distinctive thought processes that writers create and arrange as they write. Now we'll take a look at some differences. The literacy curriculum. Oral reading or reading fluency. The theory perspectives. Oral reading is fluency, a key skill which is prerequisite for comprehension as emphasized by Tyndall and others, 2016, and Rasinski in 2014. They believe that fluency is a skill feed into comprehension, which is the ultimate goal of reading. According to Dezale and Rasinski 2017, 90% of comprehension problems are due to the deficiency in oral fluency. Thus, students who have poor reading fluency in their early stage of academic life will likely have problems in later academic stages. For this reason, it is essential to build and develop fluency skills in the early learning stages. According to Rasinski 2014. Another difference is with the literacy curriculum, guided reading is an approach where teachers support a small group of students to read a text independently. According to the theory perspective, Mary Clay, New Zealand's godmother of guided reading, believed that students learn best in the instructional level text, guided by a teacher to independence, and then into more and more challenging instructional texts in what she coined as the ladder of progress. Additionally, several types of literacy are evident in the national literacy curriculum. According to Kapoor in 2019, traditional definition of literacy usually refer to the ability to read and write. Although they are essential components of literacy, today our understanding of literacy encompasses much more. Alberta Education defined literacy as the ability, confidence, and willingness to engage with language, to acquire, construct, and communicate in all of the aspects of daily living. Therefore, in order for an individual to be considered a literate person, the curriculum must cater to their all round developmental needs. Of such, there has been evidence of various types of literacy in the national curriculum. These include emotional literacy. Emotional literacy entails our feelings. Emotions, as stated by Kapoor in 2019, are an integral part of an individual. These refers to feelings, sentiments, reactions, passion, excitement, and sensations. Emotional literacy is a literacy that is necessary for individuals to acquire personal power and authority that are indispensable to participate in various tasks and activities. In order to impart emotional literacy skills to students, the national curriculum has catered for the implementations of concepts that will ensure an individual develops emotional literacy. According to Goldman in 1995, the concept of emotional intelligence has helped individuals to guide their thinking and actions, to recognize their feelings and those of others, for the motivation and management of emotions for themselves and their relationship with others. In an ever changing world, where learning through various media has been rapidly increasing, teachers are being compelled to teach the way children learn in order to transmit information that will develop skills and ability. Media literacy has been identified as the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and create messages across various frameworks. Literacy lessons cater for the transmission of concepts through social media, television, radio, and many more. Students must be able to understand these messages and to be able to make real life connections. In his book, Theory of Media Literacy, W. James Potter provides empirical researchers with directions to test the theory, extend our understanding of how the media affects the individual and society. Another type of literacy that is evident in the national curriculum is visual literacy. Visual literacy, according to Kapoor, refers to an individual being able to observe and react to their environment. Some ways of acquiring visual literacy are through social interactions and observation. During the initial stage, individuals learn to associate the image with meaning. The visual image of a text can render significant contribution in the development of vocabulary skills as students establish a connection between the visual concept and words. The term visual literacy was first used in 1969 by John Davis, who argued that visual literacy refers to a group of vision competencies which are fundamental to normal human learning. When developed, they enable a visually literate person to discriminate and interpret the visual actions, objects, and symbols he encounters in his environment.
Good morning, I am Lauren Payne, and today is my task to give a critical view of the literacy curriculum structure and the learning needs of the Guyanese learners in particular. Now, with the aim of transforming the education sector in Guyana, the literacy curriculum structure is a vital building block. It is seen as a pathway for students to develop and function well in society. Literacy under the umbrella of language arts gives students the ability to read, write, speak, listen, etc., even to communicate effectively and to make sense of their world. Now, Guyana's current literacy rate is about 85.64% for the year 2009 to 2022. Just recently, according to reports on the 20th of September, Guyana was ranked 28th place from bottom in primary education delivery. Now, for Guyana to be leading the literacy rate in the Caribbean, like in the 1960s, or like the popular Bengaluru city, according to reports on the 13th of January of this year, the literacy curriculum structure must be critically examined. Now, Guyana's literacy curriculum structure for grade 1 is centered on three broad headings: reading, language arts, and literacy hour. Now, the literacy curriculum structure indicates what is to be taught, how it should be taught, and when it should be taught according to the national timetable, with the purpose to engage learners in opportunities to explore in the integration of the of the strands of language art. Now, with the introduction of reading, the children are given opportunity to read independently and to practice what they have read during the reading process, using developmentally appropriate text. I like the fact that teachers encourage children to read during the reading process. Secondly, language arts. During this time, children get the opportunity to explore various components of oral language and written language. The oral language and written language encourage children to communicate effectively through speech. A variety of genres is being used. Thirdly, the language hour. Learners get the opportunity to explore integration of the strands of language arts through exposure to anchors such as engaging text videos, image, or a piece of music. This experience is followed by a curriculum-based lesson following a particular format. Though this curriculum is applicable in the classroom, it is in line with the national standards. This curriculum structure is in sequence, but there is still room to fill the gaps for lost learning that occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, for example, learners with special educational needs may require sometimes some appropriate differentiated instructions to meet their needs according to UNICEF 1990, paragraph 9. Only when we broaden our definition for literacy, students with extensive needs to support will be realized. So, whether the curriculum is a top-down approach to reading or a bottom-up approach to reading, it must be noted that the best results is from the bottom-up approach. And this approach of emphasize that learning is from the bottom up, like building a block, like a building block. The children learn about the foundation of reading process, concepts like learning phonemic awareness and phonics are taught to build a solid foundation. And then they advance to learning vocabulary fluency and comprehension. And the goal of getting children to identify words from a list during reading is very stressful. So Fitzgerald 1990 to 1992 emphasized that active readers should be active writers for a balanced approach to reading. Now, a careful, structured reading approach is needed at this time in the schools, especially to help emergent readers and also to create the kinds of citizens that we are looking for in our society.
Advantages of the literacy curriculum. The first advantage is that the literacy curriculum content are delivered in integrated approaches. The elements of knowledge, skills, and values are combined to create unity in terms of emotional, intellectual, and social aspects. The integrated concept may occur through skills cohesion either in one subject or between subjects. For example, in teaching of language, the four main skills, namely listening, speaking, reading, and writing, are emphasized. However, in one teaching and learning session, cohesion of only two skills is highlighted. For example, listening and speaking, or reading and writing. Cohesions between subjects can occur. For example, singing is used to teach in teaching literacy. Another advantage is that the curriculum defines a standard to be set for evaluating pupils' performances. Another advantage is that the curriculum adopts the UNESCO 4 pillars of education, namely learning to know, learning to do, learning to live, and learning to be. The curriculum also gives fair opportunity to all pupils to obtain knowledge and skills that are comprehensive and well balanced. Literacy curriculum provides the knowledge and skills needed by pupils as a basis to meet the challenges of everyday life and lifelong education. As far as language teaching and learning is concerned, pupils are trained to master the four basic skills, so that they are able to comprehend any kind of information either in spoken or written language in their daily lives. On top of that, the literacy curriculum provides a balanced, creative, and critical individual through the strand communication. The strand of communication is very significant because it gives emphasis on establishing a process to combine the language skills in the form of verbal and non-verbal during interaction. Furthermore, it focuses on the specific language skills such as listening, reading, speaking, and writing, as well as the value-added skills that is reasoning skills. Pupils need to master these skills to help them in the process of acquisition of knowledge, skills, and values in other strands. Mastering in language skills will prepare the pupils to make accurate and systematic language choices in social interaction. Disadvantages of the literacy curriculum. The first disadvantage will be that the literacy curriculum uses the whole language approach. The pedagogy promoted in the teaching materials as whole language, such as shared reading, retelling, silent reading, and process writing, became subject of controversy since the emphasis on acquisition may lead to implicit and incidental instruction in phonics, grammar, and syntax rather than explicit and comprehensive instruction. Rather than acquiring the dominant discourse of the classroom through natural learning or socializing the child into literacy practice. It has been demonstrated in classroom research that implicit teaching practice advantage a dominant cultural group over minority ethnic groups and social class. Mills 2011. Another disadvantage is that the literacy curriculum is not developed in a way to integrate information about the knowledge that students bring to school from their homes and communities. The shape of the communicative practice and discourse in children's home and socio-cultural context in which children use language from birth became focal in understanding the relationship between cultural capital of communities and its alignment of the literacy curriculum of schooling. Mills 2010, Bornet 2013. Inaugural to this perspective is the view that the literacy curriculum, while seemingly normalized as the collection of universal skills within the institution of schooling, is in fact deeply ideological, partial, and selective. Some of the group mostly marginalized by the design of the literacy curriculum includes those affected by poverty and those who are not of dominant race and culture of the schooling and curriculum establishment. Finally, the curriculum does not cover everything a student needs to know.